these days announcing things for 2 weeks from now. We've gotten things that are announced on NXT that are like, in 2 weeks, you're going to have a list. But they really want you to know that that's like, hey, don't lose track of that. I wonder why.
So it could be Natty. I feel like it might also be AJ. Because AJ would at least warrant the surprise of like, hey, let's give it a little bit so I can have someone train me. Because AJ did make Becky tap, and they haven't followed that up yet.
Even that, though, I mean, like, it's strange to have to be like, let's kill time for a month and a half. For like, let's do this side feud with Maxine, and then no, we can't just have the match, and we gotta stall for more time. Is it to keep Becky away from the Vision for a little while, where people forget about that? Is it because Becky's got other stuff going on? I don't know.
Well, Becky does have an injured husband at home, but I can't imagine that would really keep her away for too long. I think it's just to build up to AJ.
I hope so, at least for my fantasy league team. She needs to win that title. I thought that was going to be a thing that would happen in like a pretty quick turnaround, and then she just disappeared. Yeah. It is what it is. I don't know if we're going to get something interesting down the line. Maybe, there's going to be a vignette next week where Maxine's going to be walking, and then it'll build to something else like that. Going through, I don't see anything else really that was worth talking about on Monday Night Raw. Everything else we kind of lumped into everything else. Bliss and Charlotte beat Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, the Kabuki Warriors came.
I mean, worth saying, fantastic match.
Yeah, that was actually, I put that on my match of the year list. Funny enough. And if you missed that, go back and check it out. Of course, it doesn't hit the same as if you're now watching it live. And that titles were changed and all that. But there were some moments where I was just like, oh shit, are they going to actually like change the titles?
It was probably one of my favorite Charlotte matches in a while.
Has this been working for you, the tag title thing with Charlotte? Because to me, that's made Charlotte much more interesting than she's been in years.
I think, well, it's working for me because, like I've said, I like the idea of, Bliss and Charlotte being able to go to any show. And it's very clear that not just for you, but for a lot of the fan base at large, now that Charlotte isn't at the tippy top, people feel a lot better just being like, yeah, we like Charlotte. And I think it's helped her there, and I think she is genuinely having fun. So it's been fun to see. I wish there were more opponents for them, but that's another issue.
You gotta have an opponent. Poor Sami Zayn. Charlotte Flair can go down, be a tag team champion, and people are like, all right, I'm not going to be as, as against her. Sami Zayn's United States champion putting on banger matches, and people are like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he's firmly in fuck that guy territory. I don't know why.
So strange. Now, you're not watching, Callum, so I wouldn't assume that would change your opinion about Charlotte or whatever, but in theory, do you think that that's, been a success?
I mean, if people are like more aligned to like be comfortable with her being not like shitting on her in the same way that where when she was constantly in the world title picture, then yeah, there must be a success in that regard. But it will change once she gets back into the world title picture, and then it'll just go straight back to it. So it's one of those things that it should, in theory, be rehabilitating her to the point where when she does potentially go back for a world title run, there won't be as much of a negative reaction, but it will be the exact same reaction, if not worse, probably. They're happy with where she is now because she's not at the top, and it won't. And that's. It's not even. I don't think it's even to do with the tag team, even though the tag team is like good and seems to be working out well. It's more the case of that positive reaction to her is the fact that she's not on top at the moment.
I think a lot of that's going to depend on how they split them up too. Because if they do the same old shit where it ends up just being like they lose the tag titles, then Charlotte beats up Alexa, and you know, the like, I'm the queen, I shouldn't bow down to have a partner because I'm better than everybody, and then now I just have the same gimmick I've had for 10 plus years, then everybody's just gonna go, okay, well, we just hit the reset button. And if it ends up being Bliss turns on Flair, and you're supposed to be like really sympathetic towards Charlotte, I don't think anybody's going to be sympathetic towards her either. I think that they almost have to kind of split them up eventually as just being like, we lost the tag titles and we're just going to go into singles competition, and, you know, I'll see you later. I'm going to go to the opposite brand. Then again, who knows? Maybe something weird ends up happening along the way. It completely changes things, but that's my perspective at least. On the NXT side of things, some interesting things happening on there. I mean, you know, generally speaking, NXT is pretty interesting because it's kind of one of those like Wild West shows. You never know what the hell you're going to get. And they had their tournament final for the Speed #1 contenders thing. Jasper Troy beats Axiom. So in 2 weeks, El Grande Americano is going to face Jasper Troy for the Speed title, which was not
that seems like a mismatch.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, Axiom's going to win that, and then it's going to be Axiom against El Grande Americano, and Axiom's going to be starting something with Rayo and Bravo, and, you know, it's a pretty obvious thing like that. Okay, never mind, Jasper Troy wins. And I'm hoping Troy wins the title, because I think that it makes more sense for an NXT guy to be holding that than El Grande Americano.
Hey, come here real quick. I think it's something in the bathroom. Real quick. Come here. Go see what's that in the bathroom. Yeah. You done messed up now. How did you fall for the old razzle-dazzle? The old gas chamber? How did you even get a... That's not even an escape route. Not letting you out. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come back! Come back! Nah. What I want you to do, Band Easy, I want you to take this tissue and I want you to wipe it. I want you to wipe it. Your eyes wide. You gonna wipe it.
Still feeling depressed on your antidepressant? A good next step is having a discussion with your doctor about other available treatment options. Download your doctor discussion guide at our website.
I agree, and I think it can get him over. You remember when they did the Baron Corbin, like the crowd is just counting how long the match takes?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, do that. Because he's a monster.
I don't know if there was like a bigger peak of like, man, this guy's the future for Baron Corbin than when it was like Baron Corbin against Bull Dempsey in NXT, where it was like, okay, Bull Dempsey's beating a lot of people and Baron Corbin's beating a lot of people. Oh my God, they're going to go up against each other. Who's going to waver? And, let's start counting. But the Troy thing, it's one of many title things. This is kind of confusing to me. They advertised NXT Gold Rush as being the 18th and the 25th of November. And then on this episode and on next episode and the week after, they're just having title matches all across the board. So it's like you're watering down what NXT Gold Rush is supposed to feel like by having all these other championships defended in the weeks leading up to it. Not that it's a bad thing that they're being defended, but it's kind of like, okay, but then when Gold Rush comes around and people go, yeah, well, you know what? The Evolve Championship is going to be on the line. Yeah, okay, well, we already just had the Evolve Women's Championship on the line 2 weeks ago.
Well,
And
I was going to say, but they're also going to host TNA title matches, but they just had one on Tuesday. So
Exactly, yeah. Like Kendall Gray retains the Evolve Women's title over Lash Legend. Kalani Jordan turns heel and retains the TNA Knockouts World title over Jordan Grace because Jordan Grace can't win a fucking thing.
what is that? Like, all right. Full disclosure, my viewing habits are so much closer to Callum's. I didn't see this week's episode of NXT, but I did see highlights. I do know that she's turned heel. Why can't Jordan Grace win anything? What is the strategy there?
The only thing I can think of is that in their minds, they think that they're humbling her to the point that when she wins, people won't be upset about it. As if like, oh, she's coming in and she's just winning everything. And they're like overcorrecting. But maybe there's just like something else afoot. I don't know. I don't like it at all, though. We've been talking about this for the JC Jane, Blake Monroe stuff. Jordan Grace has had like maybe 9-10 important matches for like titles or number one contenders matches or something. And she's lost every single one of them except like the last match against Blake Monroe. So it's like not really for anything. God damn.
I think it's either a case of, as you say, potentially humbling her because like she's in their mind still new and hasn't done anything because it's not been in WWE. But it could also just be the fact they think that she's so she can't lose momentum that they can basically just do what they want and build other people instead of her because they know she's pretty much ready-made to go up to the main roster at any point, and they're just keeping her there until they feel like there's a right time to bring her up.
Maybe. I mean, the SmackDown roster needs her now. They could call her up now, and it would be a good move.
But it's essentially, you're right in the sense that, well, there's a lot of women in NXT that the main roster could use just because of the lack of people there. But it's a case of, well, they're just going to go there and they're just going to have matches with other people and they're not going to tell any actual stories or build them up or show any real character. They'll just, that's the issue, is that they should just bring them up because they're more than ready to be on main roster television. But the fact of the matter is they'll go up and they won't have anything to do, or they'll just be having matches on TV and not actually progressing anything.
Lexus. These two are separated by a single letter, an L versus a G. Well, that and about $40,000. Wild, right? This LX is the 300 series real Land Cruiser that we don't get here in the US, and it's in its Overtrail getup, so it's got some real off-road hardware. And this GX Overtrail, it's not just any GX, it's our GX that we bought with our own money. And it's already taken down the Toyota Land Cruiser and the 4Runner TRD Pro, but today it's going to step up in competition. So we're here at the OHV Park because shooting these two on top of a parking garage just wouldn't do them justice. And we will drive them on trails, but this isn't our normal off-road video because we're here to answer a different question. And that is there any way that this thing can be worth $40,000 extra? Let's follow the money. We're Edmunds, and we test hundreds of cars each year on the road and at our private track, so you get the most trusted reviews. If you want to know which car, truck, or SUV is the best, then stick with us. We'll kick things off here in the GX, and as I mentioned before, this isn't just any GX, it's ours, part of our one-year road test fleet of
The whole situation's very strange to me because it's like the women's division in NXT are very clearly the priority more than anything else. And you would think that Jordynne Grace being brought in as this big signing, this big deal, somebody that they could put the title on and really make like the person, you would think that they would, you know, at least be willing to give her something. Like they came back around to giving Blake Monroe the North American title. And I don't even think that that's necessarily the right decision, but now it kind of seems like they're doing something with Zarya and the Speed women's title because another thing, Sol Ruca vacated that title, and that's in and of itself a little bit weird too. I'm still not entirely convinced that that's a true injury, or if it is.
I think she's just hurt. I think that brand, wrestling overall, but that brand in particular, when it comes to leg injuries, I think they're just snake bit.
I mean, it could very well be the case, but I'm more and more suspicious as time goes on that it's not just like another faked injury story, or that it's not necessarily a faked injury, but like that it's being like inflated, and like maybe she like kind of tweaked her ankle and they're like, oh, just, you know, sit out for 2 weeks, and then they're gonna make it a whole big thing and, you know, do that separately and all. But Sol Ruca vacated the title, and starting, I think it's next week, or maybe it's week after, that they're going to have a tournament to, you know, crown a new women's speed champion. Nobody's been announced for it, but Zarya has been saying, like, you know, I'm going to go into that. Sol Ruca had the option of having Zarya defend the title on her behalf and said no, because she already lost the title for her, so why would you do that? Which to me makes no sense. Because it's like, I'd rather just give up my title than to allow my friend to possibly keep it for me.
Yeah, but she's also like, my friend is incompetent because she lost to Blake Monroe. Which, by the way, shouldn't the champions be flipped in NXT right now? Shouldn't?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy with Tatum Paxley. But shouldn't Tatum Paxley be the North American champion as a stepping stone belt, and the woman who was the AEW Women's World Champion be the NXT Women's Champion?
That's, you know, funny enough, what happened the last time that Blake Monroe was champion?
So, Mercedes.
Yeah. So it's the opposite way around. They're correcting the AEW confusion of Blake is the world champion, but she's being overtaken by the mid-card champion. So let's give her the mid-card title and have the world champion and we'll overtake her. It's a little weird, but you know, Stranger Things.
Tatum, for the audience they're catering for, Tatum is the more established character, so it makes sense that she's the world champion in that environment.
I'm very happy for her. Genuinely, like, that made me happy to see that they actually went with her and that she, you know, beat the odds.
She also brought out some odds of her own when she brought back the spin the wheel, make the deal thing. This time around, though, a challenger for the title, because she was like, I want to be a fighting champion, so let's spin the wheel, and whoever it lands on, I'm going to defend against them tonight. I like the story element of Izzy Dame wasn't on the wheel, and Tatum's just like, well, yeah, of course, because I don't want that to get in the way of our friendship. And then Izzy Dame, of course, is just like, oh, damn it, like, you're really making me, you know, want to beat you up and take you out of the calling and take this title from you, kind of a thing. And they lands on Lola Vice. It ends up being a fuck finish with Fatal Influence attacking and all. So my theory that JC Jane's just going to go straight up to the main roster or whatever, that seems to be at least on hiatus, and they're going to continue to do stuff with a 6-woman tag next week. So yeah, I mean, still could be right around the corner, but we got some more time that we're going to keep them in there. Tatum's.
I mean, as someone who doesn't watch, like, it's hard for me to tell, but I just don't think that why they move them up as soon as they've just added someone else to their group. Like, surely you need to at least keep the leader of that group around long enough to bed this other woman in to the point where she can take JC or Fallon could take JC out and kick her out of the group if JC's the only one going up. Surely they're not planning on moving all of them up at the same time, and with like Lainey Reed, lack of like someone who actually does need NXT going up with them. So it seems odd that they would add someone to the group. That's why I thought it was kind of odd that they had Paxley win, but obviously it's a good thing for her. But it's a case of you've just added someone who's super inexperienced or super like new to the NXT television to your group. You've got to stay around to accommodate that person now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Lainey Reed's the type that there are some people that, you bring them up to the main roster and they learn on the main roster. We talked about it before with like, it worked for Bliss, it worked for Braun Strowman, some other people here and there. I don't think she's the type to really do that. I think Fallon could very easily, like Fallon and JC, if they put them on the main roster, they're fine. But Reed is a different story, and it would be a little bit weird to just break them off from her, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. Because I'm not really digging Lainey Reed as part of this group. She doesn't really fit in my mind. Funny enough, I think that she would be a better fit for the Culling, and Izzy Dame would be a better fit for the Fatal Influence. Maybe swap those two. But yeah, I don't think that they're planning on doing some kind of a swap between those two or anything like that. It's a weird situation with like all the women and all that, and it's weird when it comes to having like, pretty much anything with the title scene. Like, I don't know where they're going with Tatum and all that. Because is it just we're going to put the title in Izzy? And if not, then Izzy is like the first main feud for Tatum. And then what? Because like, there's nobody standing out to me to be like, okay, well, it's clearly going to be so-and-so. And this year, I have had such a piss poor track record of trying to track which like titles are going to change hands in NXT that like for some reason the main roster, it's easy to predict. NXT, it's all over the place. We got the Heritage Cup is just missing again. Every time that it seems like they're going to bring somebody up from NXT, like it seemed like very obvious that they were going to bring Lash Legend up, and then they didn't. Kalani and Lash have been like back and forth. Which one's going to turn heel? Which one's going to be a babyface? Dark State drops the titles to the Hardys and win it right back. Alba Fire and Chelsea Green and even Paige are on NXT talking about the AAA mixed tag team titles, while Thea Hale, who was most recently on Evolve, sings Joe Hendry's theme so he can talk about the AAA mixed tag. Like, it's kind of just a mess.
The funniest thing about this scene was as soon as Alba Fire heard Thea singing, she dived on Chelsea as if she was about to be shot because she knew Joe Hendry was going to come out of nowhere. I thought, like, that's fun. They're all funny. Everybody involved in this is funny, but it's almost too cute for pro wrestling, or at least for me.
I'm just confused about what the plan is.
The plan is, hey, Chelsea, you're boosting NXT ratings. Hey, Ethan, do you potentially want to go up with Chelsea and be the next Miz, perhaps? We'll see. Just let's keep pairing you together, and we'll see where this goes.
They should.
And Joe will probably be the guy to take the belt off Ethan.
Maybe that's the thing that they're also stalling on. Maybe it's just like, well, we can't officially have him win that title until the TNA deal is over. Do we know when his contract's up?
Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, and welcome back to Goodfellows, a Hoover Institution broadcast examining history, economics, and geopolitics, and a few other matters in the news. I'm Bill Whalen. I'm a Hoover Distinguished Policy Fellow. I'll be your moderator today, joined by two of my colleagues whom we jokingly refer to as Goodfellows. That would be the economist John Cochran and former Presidential National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster. Gentlemen, it's good to see you.
Hey, great to see everybody.
HR, especially good to see you. Your Philadelphia Phillies kind of unceremoniously exited from the playoffs, and you disappear from the show. I hope the two were not linked.
Throws to the plate. Oh my goodness! He throws it away, and the Dodgers have won.
How do you not go to first? How do you not go to first? Okay, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we will talk about that. We have a few weightier issues of baseball to get into today. A two-part show for you. The second part of the show, we're going to go trick-or-treating. And let me explain that. I'm going to give you a series of issues, and you're going to tell me whether they are tricks, as in bad news, or treats, as in good news. But first, we're going to go to a topic that's a little less seasonal here at on this show, something we talk about year-round, and that is the Great Powers Competition. And joining us for this discussion is our Hoover colleague, Michael McFaul. Mike McFaul is the Peter and Helen Bing Senior Fellow here at the Hoover Institution, as well as a professor of political science and director and senior fellow at the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies at Stanford University. From January 2012 to February 2014, Mike McFaul served as the U.S. ambassador to the Russian Federation. Before becoming ambassador, he served for 3 years as a special assistant to the president and senior director.
Contract's up.
I don't remember anymore.
I feel like it's the end of this year.
Something to that effect.
Because I think a lot of people, I think the Hardys are up at the end of this year, if I remember correctly. I don't know. But yeah, we got a last man standing match is going to be happening in 2 weeks between Ricky Saints and Trick Williams. So again, in 2 weeks, right before Gold Rush, the NXT Championship is going to be defended. Why not on Gold Rush? Weird. Seems like we're setting up the Dark State, Javon Evans, and Leon Slater match for Gold Rush because they're kind of stalling for that a little bit. NXT is an interesting show, even if it's weird. Yeah,
It's the one that I at least try to follow because at least there's some kind of, hey, you can potentially see some young stars here.
Yeah. Now, young stars and the future and all that, another talking point to talk about is on Evolve, which nobody watches. They have 3 new WWE ID prospects that they introduced, and then they brought somebody from LFG. The LFG thing, not at all surprised. It's Penita Tuilepa. They had already trademarked PJ Vasa, so she shows up and she beats up Kendall Gray at the end of the show. I saw your tweet about Sid looking powerbomb.
Yeah. You ever see Sid just drop Michaels?
Yep.
It looked like that level of a powerbomb. She's fucking incredible looking. I push her to the moon.
Sid powerbombing Michaels is one of my favorite powerbombs of all time. So I knew exactly which one you were talking about. There's something about the way that he lands. I don't know. It just looks like he it looks fake, and the AI would have done that kind of way,
And that's the way I felt like Kendall Gray landed. And again, she looks great. She looks like she could be a major star just based on look alone. And that's what Evolve is for. So push her to the moon. The other 3 recruits, the only thing I know is that one of them was trained by Booker.
So it's Eli Knight, who is a part of Reality of Wrestling and some other places. He mentioned Ace Steel also trained him. And then there's Mike Cunningham, who they made a big fuss over as he's part of the Nightmare Factory, and Cody Rhodes says that he's the next guy and that kind of thing. And then Jaquan McNair, who I botched typing the name of 3 times the first time that I typed it, because it's JHA''QUAN. And I was like, God damn, man, if anybody's going to need to get another name that I can if you're going to take a guy and give them another bland ass name, please have it be Jaquan McNair, because it's hard to type. Not as hard as Katsuyori Shibata. That's when I cannot type that for some reason. My fingers always get stuck on Katsuyori. Jaquan McNair is from Lodi's wrestling organization. It's like a Fearless Academy or something like that.
That's fun.
I don't remember exactly the full name for it, but I don't know anything about these three guys. They introduced them in the most bland, generic way possible. It was just like, hey, my man, Jaquan McNair, you're really talented. And he's like, hell yeah, I am very passionate. I'm going to be a good pro wrestler. And then Eli Knight, hell yeah, man, you're really talented. Oh man, I'm so excited to be here. I'm very passionate about being a wrestler. I'm Mike Cunningham. Everybody says you're great. Oh yeah, man, it's great to be here. It's like, fuck me. Everybody's so fucking bland. Can somebody have a character? And then you got It's Gal being like, I'm going to give the Dudley Boys a 6.3 on the It's Gal Studometer, and I'm upset that I don't have a tag team partner. But now I'm upset that you're watching me have feelings, that I don't want you to see me have feelings. And it's like, God damn, that guy's got character. Show me more It's Gal, you know? But I guess we should be looking forward to these three, and in particular, they want us to be super excited about Mike Cunningham. If anybody's seen anything about these guys, let us know.
I don't know, man. Cody's Nightmare Factory doesn't have the best track record. Brock Anderson is doing all right now in MLW, but didn't light AEW on fire. Lee Johnson just finally found his footing, but didn't light AEW on fire to begin with.
Who else went through there?
Those are the main two that I know. I believe the Renegade Twins, or they were once called that, but the Renegades did as well.
Let me see if I can find any. So this is Jack Jameson, Carly Bravo, Ashley D'Amboise, Julia Hart.
Some people say, well, let's put America and Americans first. There's nothing more first than to put solar energy into our economic footprint in a big way.
Solar brings income to the counties. The money that comes to the county is a gift. It's a gift they won't get anywhere else without attachments.
Solar energy enriches rural communities to keep it thriving. The investment in rural communities is so critical as government leaders continue to move policy to be able to allow us to incorporate solar energy.
We as elected officials need to embrace new energy sources in our communities. You have to have an economy that's diverse. Solar energy in your community is another way of diversifying that economy.
When the solar company came in with those pilot payments, it really guaranteed a substantial amount of money to the school districts.
Leasing my farm to solar is not going to do anything but benefit everyone. It's unbelievable the amount of money that the school systems in this area will receive from the tax revenue.
Another thing that the solar company pushed for was with our community college. They put in a program to kind of train future employees of the solar facility, which that was a huge help.
That kind of thing is powerful impact when it comes to our schools and the help that our young people can have to grow up in a better world.
Living with chronic migraine? 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more. Botox prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine, and treatment is 4 times a year. So why wait? Talk to your doctor.
Botox effects may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as trouble swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Those with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions like rash, breathing problems, dizziness, neck and injection site pain, and headache. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions like ALS, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medicines like botulinum toxins, which may increase the risk of serious side effects.
In a survey, 91% of patients wish they'd started Botox sooner. Ask your doctor today. If eligible, you may pay $0.
Yeah, the Renegades are on the list. And then a bunch of people that I've never even heard of before, like Sid Ellington, Teriyaki, Mercury Peace. Yeah, Teriyaki. I didn't even think about that when I just said that. Brooke Havoc. Yeah, I don't know. Dean Alexander, whatever. I guess we'll see if Mike Cunningham is, he's the guy to watch out for and all this. But Evolve was what it was. On Wednesday, we also had the AEW Fright Night edition of Dynamite. And we also have the recording for the Collision episode of Fright Night, so I'll give you some spoilers on that. The Fright Night Dynamite stuff started off with Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy beating the Death Riders, and later on, we continue everything that's going on with that, but we might as well put that together with Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly fighting to a double count out. And that leads to a challenge that I thought was pretty funny, where it was a little clunky, which is something else to talk about later, like clunky, but the execution at the end ended up being kind of worth it. Darby Allin's like, we want to punish you some more. Mark Briscoe saying you're all retreat, so we got a good idea for that. Orange Cassidy, you telling him. He's like, blood and guts. Orange Cassidy, consistently the most entertaining and fun guy for me. I fucking love Orange Cassidy. So
he did not want to be in Blood and Guts, and I understand that.
Just blood and guts. So
I will say, before Callum speaks on this, shout out to Kyle O'Reilly for having 2 fun matches with Jon Moxley, and I feel like they definitely need to go for a third singles, and it's been fun seeing him get a little bit of spotlight.
Yeah.
I feel we'll get that third singles match, because if there's any time now to write off Moxley, it's Blood and Guts, essentially, or that will be the catalyst for it. He needs to be the one that surrenders in the match, gives up for his team, and so that's the reason why they have to move on from him and either move Claudio up to a position of leadership or bring someone else in that will be there to replace him and be the new Moxley figurehead. But one way or the other, that's got to be where you kind of draw the line with it. That should be a feud ender. While I'm happy in the general concept of this Blood and Guts match, because it's got a lot of good people in it. So you've got Cassidy, Briscoe, Darby Allin, Paragon on one side, and then the 5 male members of the Death Riders on the other side. It's not a good look that they made this big announcement on this show. It's 2 weeks away from the show taking place, and all 10 members of the match are fully aware. Whereas the match that was originally going to be the only Blood and Guts match that was announced 4 weeks ago or so, we still have no idea who the 10 women are going to be in that match.
Yeah, all we know is the 3 members of the Triangle of Madness, and then Hayter and Amanado, right?
Well, if even that really, because we haven't seen a graphic, so we presume it's them. We presumed it was going to be Megabad, but Penelope Ford's now injured, which was another big part of the show as well. The fact that Megan Bayne had to find a new tag team partner.
And it's
for the
Marina Shafir, so it's like, okay, well, if you want to do Death Riders, and you got Marina Shafir in, if she gets involved in the Blood and Guts for the men,